Hey everyone, this is Hari from SyncEzy, and today I'm going to talk about our Procore to SharePoint integration, and we'll do a quick demo and we'll show you how it all works start to finish. So let's get started. What actually does it do? So it is a single integration that connects Procore to all of Office 365 apps. So you can add data in Procore and then access it from any of these places: SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and Windows Explorer. And you can have that sync both ways between these apps. What that means is if you add, update, delete, or move a data from your local Windows Explorer, that change can be synced back to Procore. And the same thing, if you do any of these operations in Procore, those will be synced back to all of your local drives. If you wanted to test it for yourself, you're welcome to test it on our website on syncezy.com, and I'll go through the demo shortly. But we now have a free plan that allows you to sync up to 5 projects and 2 GB of data. It's an unlimited free plan in terms of the fact that it doesn't expire. So as long as you stay within the 5 project and the 2 GB limits, you can use it for as long as you need. There's a simple 15-minute setup. You can view that from this video and do that, or you can also have our team assist you in the setup. You're trusting us with your data. We just want to assure you that we've taken extremely good care of it. We are independently audited and assessed, and we have received a SOC 2 Type 2 certification. We've also been assessed based on the CASA parameters, and we've received an ADA certificate. All of this is accessible on our security pages, and we can provide more details once an NDA has been signed. Here we are trusted by hundreds of Procore customers, everybody from Tesla to LG to Graphic Packaging, some of the largest Fortune 100 companies, down to your regular construction companies, your mom and pop contractors, and all the way to utilities, water utilities, data center companies, and all kinds of local councils and city boards. So we have, this is just a slice of our customers, and you'll see more on our website. So what does it do and how does it work? Basically, any data that you add in Procore in a bunch of tools, we sync that back into Windows Explorer and SharePoint, and we sync that data in both ways every minute with no limits on the number of files, no limits on the total amount of data. And that runs automatically once you set up the sync. So once you set up the sync, you create a Procore project and you connect that to a location. That's it. Going forward, your team members, they use Procore as they normally do, or they use SharePoint or OneDrive as they normally do, and the data simply makes its way back into both places so that both the team members have access to the same data. These are the tools that we sync from Procore right now. We sync the documents, photos, RFIs, and submittals tools. The documents and photos sync in both directions, which means they're a two-way sync. The RFIs and submittals are a one-way sync, which means that in Procore, they're a living, breathing document, but in SharePoint, they are an extracted PDF. We'll go through some of these benefits when I show you the actual demo. So let's jump straight into it and have a look at how does this look in action. So if we go in here is a Procore, it's a standard Procore project, Wellington Opera House. If I go into the documents portion here, you've got this documents portion here in Procore, which is, let's close this and get back here. So you've got this document portion here in Procore. This is completely integrated with SharePoint at the moment. So via SyncEzy, here's a file manager. Via SyncEzy, the Wellington Opera House is connected to SharePoint. So you can go in here and select the location, and it shows you the data in Procore, or you can see the same thing within SyncEzy here. This is the data available in this is the data available in SharePoint. So if I go into Wellington Opera House and I click on documents, the same data is available. Now I'll show you how the sync actually works. So for example, if we were to take all of the we can create a couple of new folders. Let's go in and create a couple of new folders. So let's create a folder here, folder from SharePoint, and I will move the all of the 10 folders. Oops. So I've created this folder from SharePoint. This will go back to Procore shortly. And I'm going to take all of the 04 folders just as an example, and then move them into the 05 folders. So I'll move them into here, and let's just say move. And that's gone. 04 has now gone into 05. So you can see basically all of the data that I'm updating in here, all of this will be reflected back into Procore. So that's what the sync does. Anything that you add, and again, the same data that we have here is also available in OneDrive. Now I could also go in here and let's say in the documents area in OneDrive, we can add a file, and we've got some files here. I'm just going to add a file, a Word document that I will drag and drop onto this location here. So you can see this is a file that we've added in OneDrive. The same thing can also be added in Teams. So I can go into here and go into documents, and I can say I'll add this data in my Teams channel. So this is just your normal Teams channel. All we've done is you've got your normal Teams channel. I can start a conversation, or I can have a chat in the Teams channel. But the same thing, I've just gone in, added a location, I've added a website, and added the SharePoint location in here, and that's the Procore data. So in case if you have channels for every project, just to make it easier for people to talk about, then in the same conversation, you can also add data from Procore, so that as they're talking about the project, they have access to the Procore data at their fingertips. And here in the documents section, we can add data in Teams. So this file was added about a minute ago just now in Teams. This will also go back into Procore. I'll also show you one more example. So we can also do the same thing from Windows Explorer. So if I go in here, this is my Windows Explorer. You can see the same project is available and synced to my local machine, and in documents, I've got the file added in OneDrive and Teams. I can also add that file from Windows Explorer, and once that syncs, that's available online, and all of that will also be available. So all of this has now been added. So you can see here in documents, you've got all the 4 documents. Same thing here. If I hit refresh, you've got the 4 documents here, obviously in SharePoint as well. Now this is off the shelf Microsoft. What we do is we can take all of this and make that available via the integration into Procore. So if I hit refresh in Procore, you can see there was only 1 document in Procore. Now there are 4 documents in Procore, and that 04 folders that we had, those have now moved into the 05 folder, like the same way we moved earlier. Now let's say I want to move the 04 out again. I can do that from Procore and have that synced over to SharePoint as well. So it's a full two-way sync, so I can make any changes on the Procore end, or I can make any changes on the SharePoint end. Both changes will sync up. And let's say, for example, and this works across, you can make any change in here. So if I'm moving documents, if I'm, for example, here's a document, let's say move it from here into this folder. I've moved 3 files into this folder. Any changes like this that I do, they're basically immediately available. Any changes that I do, they're near instantly. So we take an average of about 1 to 2 minutes, but they will all be available back into SharePoint. So if we go into SharePoint, and this hasn't refreshed, I think. So if we just hit refresh, it'll take a minute or two. all of that data that we've just added will be available back in exactly the way you have changed in SharePoint. These changes will get mirrored in here. And you can also verify all of this through this tool. Now this tool is our file manager tool, where you can select a project and you can see live what is happening. So you can see here that the documents have moved through in Procore. They have not yet moved in SharePoint, and that's because they're in the queue. It's going to take about a minute or two, and that data will be available. So while this is happening, I'm going to show you how we can add a project to Sync. So let's go into configuration, and we'll talk about how you can add a project to Sync. So to add a project to Sync, you basically come in here, click on add a project. Once you've authenticated Procore, you will have the ability to select all of your Procore companies. In this case, I'll select the demo company. And this will go in and fetch all of your projects from Procore. So you should now be able to see all of your projects from Procore. So let's select the Eiffel Tower. And I'm going to select these tools, for example. And I'm going to select a location here for where we want the integration to sync the data into. So if I select documents, you can see there is the Procore data folder. Currently, there's no folder for Eiffel Tower. So I can go into SharePoint, which I can also do from here. I can go in and create a new folder for Eiffel Tower. It's not necessary, it's just best practice to have a single folder for the project. Once I've got that, I can come in here and select the Eiffel Tower project, select this location and add a project. And that's how you add a project to Sync. Now going forward, all you need to make sure is that you do not change the root folder location. So you do not rename the folder that you created, because that is the part of the parent path. So you don't want to change that. But other than that, you can do any changes that you want. Because inside the Eiffel Tower, here this folder was, a minute ago it was empty, and we've now created these folders. They are representative of the Procore tools. Then we go into documents. This documents will reflect exactly the data that's coming from Procore. So if I go in here, and if we go into the Eiffel Tower project, whatever you have in the project here will get reflected. Currently there's only one folder here, that's fine. This will get reflected into SharePoint. So we can start the sync. Right now we are starting the sync obviously from Procore, that's why you're seeing these folders being created. But we can start the sync from SharePoint, we can start the sync from Procore. If you do not want these three folders and you want a direct sync, that's also possible. If you don't want to bother with creating this and you want it to automatically pull data through, that's also possible. So we've got a lot of options here. We've been doing this for a long time, so we have a lot of options in terms of how you can configure the sync. Some of those are obviously only available for paid customers, but here this particular is a free plan, so we've hit the limit here. But in here I can also add company documents, so it's not just about project documents. We can also add the company documents, which means the documents that we have at the company level in Procore. So we can also sync those company documents in terms of the data that's available at this level. So not within a project, but outside a project. You can also sync the company documents, your standard templates, etc. You can also sync those to SharePoint. That's an overview of the sync. If you have any questions about it, you can reach out to us online. If you have trouble setting anything up, you've got 24-hour chat support, or you can also contact us on any of these numbers above or book a meeting with us. We are very, very accessible. Look forward to helping you connect Procore to SharePoint. Thank you.